All right, good afternoon.
Hey.
We hope that you all are doing well, and we hope to see you soon. We're doing well. Baby Drew is doing pretty good. Jameson is being a pretty good big brother. So our life is going well. We hope your life is going well as well. Whew. Today we're going to ask you a question before we get started. We're kind of reading a love story in the book of Ruth. If you've paid attention and watched this story unfold, you're finding out that Ruth and Boaz are sort of kind of falling in love. Yes, they're following the tradition of the kinsmen, but they're also, you can kind of tell that they have fallen in love with each other and the qualities that each one have. So today we want to ask you a question. What's your favorite love story? It could be from a movie, it could be from a TV show, it could be from a real life love story that you've seen play out. It could be your mom and dad's love story. I don't know, whatever you want it to be. We want you to share that with us. I believe that Morgan and I are both going to share one with you. And so Morgan will go first because hers is really good.
I would say ours. Ours is my favorite. So, am I supposed to say why?
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
Basically, she broke up with me, but then fell back in love with me. But it's whatever. That's for another time. My favorite love story recently, one that I've kind of seen unfold, is we watched the movie I Still Believe, which is about Jeremy Camp, who is a big Christian singer. He fell in love with his wife at college, right? And they got married really, really early, but she was dying.
You're just gonna give away the movie.
I can't tell you the rest. Anyway, they got a great love story, and I sat here and my allergies got really bad, and I got watery eyes, and anyway, it's a great love story. So check that movie out. It's called I Still Believe. But today we're going to finish the book of Ruth, and where we left off last week is where Ruth was kind of doing that weird thing where she laid at the foot of his bed and like uncovered his feet, and we talked about how this was all a part of the tradition of how things would unfold, and that how there was a kinsman who was supposed to keep the family going on, and it was supposed to be somebody close to the family, and it actually was supposed to be Boaz. And so she presents herself to Boaz as wanting to marry him, and he, I think, wants to say yes, but he realizes that he's not the closest kinsman, and it's a little, different than what we're used to, but he knows that there's somebody else ahead of him on the totem pole that's supposed to marry Ruth if he chooses to. And so he leaves us hanging in Ruth chapter 3, kind of in an unknown situation. He says he's going to go meet with the man who is next in line and see if he wants to marry Ruth, and if he doesn't, then he'll marry her. And so as we get started in chapter 4, we just want to walk through a couple pieces of this, and then Morgan's going to read with you. Basically, Boaz goes and sits out at the city gate, and the city gate would have been a popular spot during those times. It would have been where any kind of judgment would have taken place or any kind of transaction. And so it wasn't just he wanted to go sit at the city gate, but it was a common place for this to happen. And it just so happens the guy that he's looking for comes by, and he's going to ask him, like, do you want to fulfill your role as the kinsman? And so Morgan's going to read a couple verses with you. We're going to see how this transaction takes place.
This is verse 3. Then he said to the guardian redeemer, Naomi, who's come back from Moab, is selling a piece of land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should bring the matter to your attention and suggest that you buy it in the presence of these seated here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, do so, but if you will not, tell me so I know, for no one has the right to do it except you, and then I'm next in line. I will redeem it, he said. Then Boaz said, on the day you buy the land from Naomi, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property. At this, the guardian redeemer said, then I cannot redeem it, because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I cannot do it.
All right, and so there's no mistake on how Boaz presents this. He presents it in a way, hopefully, to get the results that he wants. So at first he says, hey man, you're the next kinsman. There's this piece of land from Naomi. If you want it, you're the one that has to redeem it. And so it's like today, everybody wants as much land as they can get. And so the guy says, of course, I'll redeem it. I'll take the land. But then Boaz presents the second part of it, and it's the idea that he's going to have to marry Ruth, that like it's a package deal. He gets Ruth as well, and so he's going to have a wife who he's supposed to be expected to have children with, and carry on the name of Naomi's husband, which is Elimelech. And so this is kind of a lot to throw on somebody, right? And so this guy that was next in line, he declines it. He says, I don't want that. I would take the land, but I can't have Ruth. Maybe he was already married. Maybe he didn't want to throw a wrinkle in that situation or whatnot, but he declines it. And so the story plays out exactly how Ruth and Boaz both would want it to play out. After this, the next couple of verses says that the witnesses were there. They all saw the transaction happen. They do this thing where they had to take off, the guy that declined it had to take off his sandal, and he gives it to Boaz. And so it's in a sense, it's like a certifies the transaction. It's like a what's that stamp thing you do? Our neighbor's one of them. What is that? Where you stamp stuff to make it official. I don't remember. Somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. But it was like the stamp of official transaction. And so now Boaz is able to marry Ruth. He's going to get the land that Naomi has. And all of this is going to take place. And it's going to be just kind of the fairy tale ending that we all love to see. It's the fairy tale ending that Ruth likes to see, that wanted to happen. And the same with Boaz. And so it's a really cool story. And just like the book of Esther, it's one of those stories where God doesn't necessarily jump out of the pages at you and say, here I am, but as the story unfolds, you kind of see where God was the whole time, because it's through all of those ways that he worked throughout the story that these two meet each other, and now they're going to be married. They go on to have a kid. Do you remember his name? More? Obed is his name. They have a son, and so that's the important part there, because now the father's name is literally going to be carried out through all of this because she's able to have another son. Naomi is just thrilled. She gets to have a grandson. She gets the family name that get passed on. And what's really neat about all of this is that Obed is going to he's going to grow up and have a son himself. His name is going to be Jesse. And then Jesse will grow up and have a son, and his name is David. And David's the guy in the Bible that you should know all about in the Old Testament. He's a pretty famous fella. And then what's even crazier is, guys, this is kind of mind-blowing, is that David is in the lineage of Jesus. So they're related. And so all of this story happened. This is where God really shows up. All of this really happened because God was setting it up so that Jesus could come to earth through all of this. And so that part's pretty neat too. You got anything to add, Morgan? The only other thing I thought was kind of interesting is this kinsman redeemer. It's the idea of having to go back and redeeming the family, and it has to be somebody close. It's almost exactly like what Jesus did for us. You know, we were people that were in trouble. We were people that were battling sin and in our own struggles. And he came to kind of rescue us. And that's kind of what Boaz did for Ruth and Naomi. And so, guys, we hope you've enjoyed the book of Ruth. I'm not sure where we're going to go with next. I'm really, really, really hoping that we can just have youth groups soon. I'm working out different ways that we may be able to do that here soon. But anyway, we'll probably jump on and do one more book study. And then maybe that may be a possibility. We'll play Foursquare real soon. But I guess we'd have to wipe off the ball Probably not going to play Foursquare. Maybe play a different game. But we hope you're doing well, guys. We'll leave it with just one question today. We won't give you a second one. Unless you got one that you're thinking of.
Unless they want to take a vote on what book we should do next.
Oh, there you go. Tell us what book you want to do next. It can be any book or any person that you want to. Don't make us go through
it's
Psalms.
Really
There's like 112 of those or something.
There's way more than that.
There's way more than those. But anyway, guys, we hope you're doing well. We miss you. Baby Drew's sleeping over there in the corner. I don't want to wake him up, so I'm not carrying this laptop over there. But he's doing well. Jamo's doing well. He's sleeping too. So hope you guys are doing well. We love you. We miss you.
Bye, guys.